This is Poppy and Rye Chapter 16. Chapter 16 is called Poppy Hears Some News. It was quiet in the mouse nest. In one corner, Clover tended to her three youngest children. Poppy was in another corner with the older ones, including Thistle and Curly Dog, telling stories about Dimwood Forest. Valerian was in the middle of the room, surrounded by children, giving them seed lessons. Now this kind, he was saying, holding up a plump sunflower seeds, is particularly nourishing and tasty. You can never go wrong with sunflower seeds. Rye and I know a particularly fine place to find them. He paused and looked around. Say, where is Rye? When none of the youngsters gave an answer, Valerian called out, Anyone know where Rye is? Hearing the name, Poppy pricked up her ears and looked around, but said nothing. It was Thistle who called out, He went out. Do you know where? Nope. Valerian shrugged and returned to his lesson. Poppy leaned over towards Thistle and whispered, Do you think Rye will come back soon? With Rye, you never know. Poppy, please tell us some more about your forest. Thistle had grown very fond of Poppy. Poppy talked, but soon broke off. She could not concentrate. Thoughts of Rye crowded her mind. Besides the warm, close underground air, crowded conditions were beginning to bother her. I think I need some fresh air, she announced. Promising to return quickly, she made her way to the ground surface. The storm was over. Though dusk had fallen, the air had turned muggy. Poppy sat back against the boulder and looked out. To the west, a lush band of pink and purple layered the sky. Eastward, a pale yellow moon had begun its climb. Fireflies punctuated the growing darkness with sparks of light, as if night itself had a bright pulse. As Poppy remained sitting quietly, looking at nothing in particular, the thought of Erith was with a pang. She had not returned to him. Then she reminded herself how unusually grumpy he had been. She thought, too, of this repeated statements about his preference of being alone. Poppy decided she'd stay at the mouse nest for the night, and Erith could wait. Putting her friend out of her mind, Poppy was glad to give herself over the thoughts of Rye. She wondered where he had gone. She had little doubts as to why he had left the nest. It was her words about Ragweed, how she had loved him, how they had all but married. The distress upon Rye's face as she was told the tale was easy to see that the sun in a cloudless sky. And yet, Poppy mused, Ragweed was no more. To speculate about what might have been was useless. Poppy reminded herself that she had taken this trip as a way of bringing an end to that part of her life. That had been achieved. Even as she genuinely touched Ragweed's earring, aware of how restless she was to start life anew. In fact, she thought with a bolt of boldness, she thought she wanted to share the rest of her life with Rye. Sighing, Poppy looked down at the pond. Even as she did, she saw a beaver haul himself out of the water, give himself a shake, sending a spray of water in all directions, then proceeded to waddle clumsily uphill right in her direction. Poppy grew alarmed. She had never met a beaver before. Having heard angry accounts about them from the mice, she was not inclined to like them. She could see that compared to her, they were enormous. Moreover, the approaching beaver's huge buck teeth, brilliant orange in color, seemed positively fierce. Dimly she recalled that beavers and mice were related, second cousins twice removed, or something like that. At the moment, she didn't feel related, only very small. The beaver drew near. He had a distinct musky smell. Poppy, not sure what to do, glanced around to make sure that just in case the beaver meant her harm, she wasn't trapped. They were about 4 feet apart, and the beaver halted. How you doing, sweetheart? The name is Castor P. Canad. All my friends call me Cass. As the philosopher said, a stranger is just a friend you haven't met yet. What's your name? Poppy. Nice to meet you, sweetheart. Very nice. You're just the one I wanted to talk to. Me? Poppy said. You live in that boulder you sitting against, don't you? Well, not really, Poppy started to explain. I've only just... Hey, save your breath, sweetheart, Mr. Canad interrupted. I know all about it. You used to live somewhere else. Now you're here. You've moved recently. Well, actually, Poppy tried to interrupt. Now, unless I'm holding a stick by the wrong end, and I rarely do, there's a mouse by the name of Rye who lives here too. Did I hit the nail on the head? Poppy stared. Rye? Guess he does live here. Good. I like coming to the point. I play hardball, call a spade a spade. Is something the matter with Rye? Poppy stammered. Rye? Kid's as fit as a fiddle. Right as the rain. A1 OK, Mr. Knad assured her. Except he broke into our lodge. Broke in? Hey, I'm giving it to you straight. You heard me right. He broke in where he had no business breaking in. I mean, a beaver's lodge is his castle. That Rye is head over heels in trouble. Trouble? Poppy cried out, unable to do more than echo what she was hearing. What kind? Off the cuff, shooting from the hip, taking the first lane. I'd have to say Rye is violent. But don't worry, he's perfectly safe in a cage I built in my main lodge. He pointed to one of the mounds in the pond, right there. But that's awful, Poppy said, staring at the lodge. You took the words right out of my mouth. He shouldn't have done it, Mr. Knad said. Now, sweetheart, I'm talking on the up and up. We'd like to build a dam right here on this spot. Expand Knad's cute condos, anchor it to that boulder. To make a long story short, it'd be better for everyone if you all moved. Do it in 2 shakes of a beaver's tail with no fuss, and you'll see Rye again. No worse for that. But, of course, if you don't want to move, well, then what? Poppy cried. Look here, sweetheart. Let's just say I don't want to beat around the bush. It's a matter of life or death. The choice is yours, but it's a free country. But what if we don't move? Poppy cried. Well, sweetheart, I'll be honest with you. I hope that doesn't happen, because if you don't go, I'm afraid your pal will have met his Waterloo, sink or swim, because your new home will be flooded too. Some of your youngsters might drown. Naturally, that would upset my family so much, filled to the brim with anger, you know. I can't say what they might do to Rye. Hope I'm not bothering you, but the decision is yours. Remember, we don't want to force anything on you. Anyways, nice talking to you, sweetheart. Have a nice day. I sincerely mean that. With that, Mr. Knad turned and began to waddle back down the road to the pond. Finding Poppy, it was hard to take in all that she had just heard. She stared after him. Her first reaction was to go racing after the beaver and tell him what she thought of him, make him release Rye instantly. But Mr. Knad, as if knowing what Poppy was thinking, gave a great slap of his broad tail, sending out a resounding thump that shook the earth. So instead, Poppy remained where she was, watching the beaver go to the pond and swim off. Only then did she race down the entryway to Clover and Valerian's nest.